abandoned ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our episode 11 Andor review / breakdown after show. This episode's called Daughter of Ferrix, and we have our beloved co-host Blake in the Escape Pod to chat with us about this latest installment in the series. We're one episode away from the finale, and that's coming up quick. It's going to be out next Wednesday, and then we'll have a bit of a break, bit of a hiatus until the next Star Wars thing comes out. So that's a little crazy, but we got a few bits of Star Wars news, podcast news to get into as well. So let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, before we get started here, just wanted to say thank you for everyone tuning into the podcast on Podbean. It's a podcast platform which incidentally we're actually hosted with, and we've noticed a lot of people tuning in on Podbean. So big thank you. I mean, what do we have now, Blake? Was it 116 followers on there?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Which is basically, you're telling me it doubled. So
yeah, it's just like
welcome all newcomers.
Yeah, welcome all newcomers. You know, a lot of new people tuning into the platform. I mean, I can read off some usernames here, which I can pronounce. Andy Fulham, Colton's mom.
I love that name.
A great username. Cosworth, Jody Swain, and Reese Trader, David Edwards, James Bruce. We see you. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. There's many more of you guys. Be sure to send us an email. Follow us on Twitter. Do what you can to support the podcast. Big thank you for tuning in on Podbean. And welcome to Star Wars Escape Pod. If you haven't been tuning into the podcast for a couple weeks now, you might have missed the news that we're actually going to YouTube, right? Isn't that right? Where's Blake here?
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
Downstairs, exit, basement.
We have problems in the escape pod again.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal. Open the pod bay doors.
Oh man. This is incoming asteroid field. That's what it is. Well, I gotta say, we're heading to YouTube, and it's been quite the process to get over there. I mean, every single episode takes a close to 2, maybe 4 hours per podcast episode to really go through the conversion process. What we have to do is re-download the audio file and pipe it through After Effects, where we have an endless video loop that it goes through with a tail in and a tail out. And then we have to render it out, which takes a very long time, and then upload the thing. And if it happens to be a super long episode, like a movie commentary or something like that, it can take quite a while to go through the upload process to YouTube. And it's quite the process. But we wanted to hit the YouTube community for quite a long time now. You know, that's just been it's been a circle that we've had our eye on. I know, Blake, you've been wanted to do this for quite a while as well, and you know, eventually we'll catch up on the week-to-week releases. So what we've done is we started from the very beginning with the intro and gone all the way through, and I think we're approaching the halfway point now. I would say roughly, you know, maybe we're over a quarter for sure, kind of between the quarter and the halfway point, which is nuts. But eventually we'll catch up with the week-to-week things, and then
we're getting there. And honestly, you've been hammering through those episodes super fast. I'm pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a process, but you know, I just always have the computer kind of going at it, and you know, eventually I'll have like a stack of files to upload. I'll, you know, check them off the list, send them to YouTube, and so yeah, everyone listening and everyone tuning in into the podcast, make sure you subscribe to Star Wars Escape Pod on YouTube now. And, you know, eventually maybe we can have some fun with it. Once we kind of catch up and get the bulk of the work done, we can start maybe putting out kind of more YouTube exclusive content.
Niche stuff. Well. Yeah, I know. We have teased that several times here on the podcast. And, you know, I've got pretty excited about some of those ideas. So it'll be a lot of fun to share with all you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, really looking forward to that. So, yeah, additionally, there's a lot of people that haven't joined the Discord. I mean, you know, we're sitting here in the Discord right now as we record this podcast. I mean, where is everybody?
Ghost Town in here. I think I just saw a tumbleweed go by.
Yeah, no, like what's going on here? I mean, we got some forums going on. What else we got?
We got our open chats here. People can kind of just jump in. Got our Star Wars Battlefront stuff going on. We see. I feel like there's just almost hourly updates of Phil mentioning all sorts of stuff here. He's our local buddy. He goes by the name Spicy Cheese, if you haven't known. If you want to jump in there and talk to him about some Dash Rendar, it's that is definitely what he's all about.
Yeah, get in that forum. Tell him how much you hate Dash Rendar.
just stir the pot a bit. Try to get him riled up.
Yeah, that's what we need right now. We need some fireworks going on in the Discord. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? No, we're pretty fun around here. You know, we honestly just want to hear some thoughts and opinions. It would be nice to get a bunch of our audience members in the Discord. The link is in the description of every single podcast episode, whether you're on YouTube or on a podcast platform of your choice. You can find us on pretty much any platform across the galaxy. You can hit that link in the description. It'll take you to the YouTube or the Discord, sorry, and you can sign up for free. And there's a bunch of fun channels in there. You know, you'll never miss a YouTube video from Star Wars. You know, the Star Wars show. You'll never miss a tweet from the Star Wars accounts. Video game news, you name it. You know, it's all in there. So definitely jump in the Discord. Yeah. I mean, what else we got to cover before we get into Andor? I mean, we got a brief message from Captain Rex who's coming through on the intercom. What does Rex have to say?
Republic forces have deemed Star Wars Escape Pod as the recommended source for news and entertainment. Subscribe, leave a voicemail, and share the show with a brother.
Share the show with a brother. That's right.
Are you sure that was Rex? That might have been Echo.
Could have been Echo. I don't know. Maybe it's heavy.
Yeah, it might have been heavy too. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, fives. I don't know. Could have been fives. Cody.
There's a different clone every week that's doing a little ad for us.
Yeah, exactly. And they all just happen to read off the same card.
They just happen to all sound exactly the same.
Exactly.
Man, talk about a good investment.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the best money ever spent. There's it's not every day that we get new stuff on Disney Plus in regards to Lucasfilm, in regards to Star Wars, but there's a new short on there from Studio Ghibli, which is about 2 minutes long. It's called Zen, Grogu, and Dust Bunnies. And it's like 2 minutes. It's just relaxing Mandalorian Grogu theme music, and it's just Grogu kind of walking in front of some parchment paper. He's hand drawn, I guess, and interacting with some floating dust bunnies, and they give him a flower, and that's it. And I was like, all right, this is just one of those really random things, kind of like the vehicle fly through or Star Wars biomes or something like that. Just this random thing that just like comes on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what is this?
I think it's just someone who works there just has an idea, and he may have just or he or she maybe just working on it, in their spare time, and caught the attention of the supervisor. Like, hey, that's cool. Maybe we could talk to Disney, and maybe they'll put it up there. Honestly, I would be surprised if that's all it is. Like, just people playing around in their spare time, working on stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good that's a possibility. I mean, it's I guess it was definitely a fun thing, I think, for Studio Ghibli to do. But my suspicion is maybe it came out of the contract agreement with them, or maybe it's just like something that they wanted to do, just for the heck of it. But I have a feeling that Studio Ghibli is going to be involved with Star Wars Vision Season 2. Because
that'd be cool.
They did announce a season 2 for Star Wars Visions. Any fans of the anime Star Wars Visions out there, there will be a season 2 for that. So I'm looking forward to that. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not surprised for season 2. Season 1 was received extremely well. It had some really unique and creative stories, and I think it was really a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Not to say I disliked other Star Wars stuff, but it was something that it felt a lot more unique, I think, than a number of Star Wars material we have been receiving over the last few years.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Very different, not exactly fitting in the canon or intending to be fitting in the canon, but I appreciated it. It was kind of neat to see like an anime take on the Star Wars universe, just because Star Wars has so much of Japanese cinema influence as well, with George Lucas as an inspiration. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see it kind of go the other way around and influence, how Star Wars influences anime. Just what an anime company would take that and kind of what would they do with it, sort of thing, right? So
yeah, it's really funny to see how it's like art influences life, influences art, influences life.
Yeah, it's like the circle of inspiration,
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into some Andor episode 11. All right, so Andor episode 11.
Hold on, you know what you're missing?
What are we missing here?
In between the speeder sound of us riding the speeder and us getting into the cantina, I feel like there should be a door.
Yeah, I can hear. I mean, who says we haven't gone through the door yet? I mean, like I can hear the music through the window. I mean,
they got the windows open. It's hot out.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go in here. All right. Okay.
There we go. All right. Now we're inside.
We're inside, but that music is crazy. I mean, like let's get a table further over here.
That's too loud. Let's go back outside. There we go.
All right, go.
Much better. We'll sit here on the patio.
Yeah. Out here on the patio. We'll get droids flying by like, yes.
Traffic.
Yeah. The outdoors, that's what we get, right? Like, oh man. But here we are, and Andor episode 11. It came out this past Wednesday. It's called Daughter of Ferrix, and let's get into this. So, just initial thoughts. What do you have to think about? Like any kind of just off the top, off the top of your heads.
Off the top of my head, I want to say that you said that we're gonna go on hiatus after Andor's done, and that's not true. We're sticking around so you guys can keep listening.
Hiatus.
But the Disney, I believe what you meant was the shows on Disney will be a slight hiatus. But not Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Make sure that people are aware of that difference.
Thank you. Yeah. If I misspoke on that, no, we're not going anywhere. I mean, Star Wars itself, though, this is like this Andor is coming to a close, and it'll be a little like a hot minute, I guess, before we get either Mandalorian season 3 or Bad Batch season 2, whatever comes out first.
Like Bad Batch was supposed to come out in May of this last year.
Yeah, it just kept getting pushed, I guess, and they really just didn't find time to sneak that in there. I was kind of surprised that Tales of the Jedi came out before the Bad Batch did.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because it was supposed to overlap with Boba Fett, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was
It feels so long ago now.
I feel like it was Andor. I think it was supposed to overlap with Andor originally, and then the whole thing kind of got shoved back a little bit. And
so strange.
Yeah, so we've got this trailer which came out in earlier this year in the summer from Star Wars Celebration. And now the estimated, this is what the Discord's useful for. In the events, we got 2 events scheduled in the Discord. One of them is the premiere for Bad Batch Season 2, January 4th. I don't know if that's the estimated.
January.
I think that was the rumored start date that I saw kind of floating around online. I don't know if that's actually
so this isn't official. This is an estimate.
For now, it is a semi-accurate estimate, I would say. And then The Mandalorian even more so. It's kind of said that February 22nd is going to be Season 3's premiere. But again, I don't think there's an actual trailer out there that really reveals the proper release date. So they can always shift things, and it's never going to be perfect estimate. I've had to adjust the Bad Batch one a few times because they had to push it. So
I wonder if there's like going to be a gap, so they're trying to they push it to fill in that blank area. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. First impressions on this episode. Do you have any?
I didn't realize we didn't have really any space combat for a long time until I watched this episode. I'm like, oh, we haven't had this in a long time.
It's very true, actually. Yeah, I think the last time we saw a really cool kind of space scene was when he escapes from.
But that was more just are they gonna make it?
Right.
It wasn't really dogfighting.
Right. Yeah, this is really kind of the first
clever
moves, I guess. Yeah. I liked it a lot too. I thought that whole sequence with Luthen and the ship was fantastic.
We can get into it more, but I liked the Iron Man move. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, for sure. Andor and Melshi. The episode kicks off with them continuing their escape, and it's worth noting. I forget if I mentioned this before. It's worth noting that Melshi was in Rogue One. He's one of the guys that are kind of following Andor into battle for the last time on Scarif. So it's kind of cool to see his story, kind of a little bit more pieces of that puzzle kind of come together in this show. And Marva is also confirmed to be a member of the Daughters of Ferrix, which we have no idea what that is. It's just kind of alluded.
It's called.
Yeah, it could be something. It could be some sort of I don't know, maybe some sort of sisterhood on Ferrix that kind of does what they do to rebel against, whatever powers in play, I guess.
Well, when they said that, were they referring to Andor's mom?
Yeah, it was.
She was a daughter of Ferrix?
Yeah, she was a daughter of Ferrix, and it was the Daughters of Ferrix that were kind of taking her away and kind of dealing with the body, I guess.
Because they also, I believe they said in even the last episode that she was an ex-politician, essentially, of Ferrix, right? She was the mayor or something.
Marva?
I think so.
I forget about that. But I know that I looked her profile up on the Star Wars databank. So if anyone doesn't want to use Wikipedia for any particular reason, the Wikipedia is quite useful. But Star Wars has their own kind of character profile going on, in kind of a mini profile sort of format. And they usually have the appearances of where they've shown up and just a little blurb about the character. So I looked her up on StarWars.com in the databank section, and it says that she's beloved by the community, and of course with her body being absent of life or anything like that. Yeah, that's what they do to the dead on Ferrix. I thought that was kind of a weird, interesting fact that we got. That
I thought that was cool. I'd go out like that. I'd be turned into a brick.
Yeah, your ashes just kind of melded into a brick, and then you get placed in a wall somewhere. It's kind of an interesting way of doing graveyarding, cool, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's also think you have a family home, and then your past, your family tree basically is in the walls.
Right.
Actually, it sounds like a haunted house.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of it's both kind of neat and also kind of strange because I don't know. I mean, when I look at a brick wall, I think I don't want to look at it a
who's in there.
Yeah, who's in there kind of thing. Each brick could be a past human body kind of thing. That's a little out of my territory, but
maybe they etch the bricks, so which ones. I don't know, or is it just totally random?
Yeah, I have no idea, honestly. Like, I think it's just kind of like an ashes are mixed into the mix, and then you get turned into a brick or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. How would you, if your family was built into a house, how would you feel if the house got old and you had to like demo it?
Oh man, I guess that would be really tough if we had to start knocking down walls.
That's not, yeah. It makes construction a lot more complicated.
No kidding. Yeah. Thankfully, brick walls tend to last a lot longer than what we have here in North America. But it's
Wood construction, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I put the ashes in the grasslands there, and then the trees grew, and I used that lumber.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Good old firewood. Quad jumpers. Those.
Oh my gosh!
They it shows up.
I facepalmed so hard when I saw the ship. I'm like, of course it is.
Yeah. So the quad jumper, if anyone, it's been a while, was the ship that Rey as a young kid sees fly away in The Force Awakens.
Well, escaping that quad jumper.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is if you're ever trying to escape, don't go for the quad jumper. Something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this quad jumper has shown up a number of times now. It's shown up in, I don't think it's obviously not the same one, but yeah, it's shown up in Force Awakens twice. Like once in Rey's like past when her parents take one off planet. Once in the same movie when her and Finn are trying to escape off Jakku.
It gets blown up.
Yeah. I think we've seen it for sure. We've seen it for sure in The Rise of Skywalker and that giant jumble of ships. What else?
I think it's in one of the animated shows.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we saw it in something recently. And then I also think we saw it earlier in the show in Andor. We saw it in that shipyard. I'm pretty sure in that Ferrix shipyard where Andor was trying to borrow a ship, right? Pretty sure there was one parked in there somewhere, and now we see one again. Every time someone goes for the quad jumper, something goes wrong.
Something happens. Yep. Don't do it.
Yeah, we need a Star Wars escape pod shirt with a quad jumper silhouette on it.
Don't take the quad jumper.
Don't do it. Yeah, it just says don't do it. It's just like the biggest inside joke of the century.
Yeah, it would be.
Like, oh man, I don't think anyone other than people listening to this podcast would actually know what it is. But
definitely not. But that doesn't make the joke any worse.
Exactly. Andor and Melshi are caught by some Narkinian fishermen or something. I don't really know what they were doing there, but they looked like fishermen to me.
Hold on. Before we move on, I also realized that the Lego version has a button that makes it explode. And I think that's worth mentioning.
No way. Really?
Yeah, it does. So, man, there's just so many signs that we just should not take the quad jumper.
Well,
okay, anyway.
I think Andor and Melshi are in a bit of a tight spot. It's like, well, it's either the quad jumper or nothing, right?
Well, so is Finn and Rey. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're better off staying on foot.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're caught up in some sort of nasty web thing, and
yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. I was like, I don't know what that is, but
it was like a web made out of calamari.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. It was yeah. I mean, I was a bit curious as to what the species was of those fishermen people, but it just listed them as Narkinian, even though they looked like completely different from one another. I guess they're residents of the planet, and yeah, I don't know, it was kind of neat to see, a bit more Star Wars-y alien designs. I thought that was kind of cool. And
yeah, I thought it played pretty well. Where like it seems like they're gonna turn them into the Empire for a bounty.
Yeah, it seemed like that was how it was going to play out, and then I feel like they just kind of like, yeah, we don't have time to do that whole storyline. Let's just kind of like make them friends and give them a free ride somewhere.
Yeah, I admit I don't know if I entirely buy that. it just like seemed really out of nowhere. Just like, it's like you're playing a role playing game and like they're gonna turn you in, and then you just happen to roll a natural 20. And they're like, oh, they're gonna save you instead.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like also like, you're playing a role playing game. Someone tries to steal your boat or your horse or whatever. Like, what do you do to them? A lot of people would try and kill them or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, my buddy's game. He was just talking about this yesterday. Actually, he had a knight chase them down for like 8 sessions because they stole a horse.
That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah,
the debt must be paid.
That's right.
They request to go to Niamos, which is where Andor has left his stash of credits and his blaster pistols. What did you think about that? I mean, like, we got to go back to Niamos. Someone's since moved into his house.
I think it was a hotel room, I think is what it was.
Oh, maybe. That would make sense, yeah. Like his girl's really gone.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny that there's like a couple and they're just sleeping there, and he just like wanders into the shower and like takes his stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was I thought that was very you know what it reminded me of is because like that whole kind of beachy sort of planet thing reminds me very much of like a Hawaii or a beachy kind of LA sort of scenario where people leave their doors open, people leave their sliding doors open or whatever just to kind of get that breeze going on. So
okay.
It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, like, but I did initially think, how did he break in without them even like hearing, right? But
he still had his key card for the room.
Yeah. The one thing they didn't take it away, yeah. Where did he hide it? I don't know.
He knew he had to get back.
Yeah. So this is where Melshi and him decide to part ways to avoid detection and warn people about what's going on at the prison. So, I'm sure we'll see Melshi again, maybe in season 2, but I have a feeling it might be the last time we see him. And Clea going over to Coruscant. Clea seems to be a little too involved for her own good as Luthen's assistant. I feel like every time we see her, she's just kind of doing something that I'm like annoyed by. I don't know, like whether it's like putting out hits on Andor's head or, dealing with people part of the rebellion in like kind of her own kind of nasty way, I guess. Like, I don't know. She's kind of annoying. Like
she's not a likable character.
No, yeah, she's not a likable character at all, and so,
she's very schemy and seems to be.
Yes, yeah.
It's weird because even now, we can get into it in a bit here. Like the decisions that Luthen has to make, we found out he basically okayed them trying to get rid of Andor now that he's a loose end. But I still feel like I trust him more, whereas she should be doing his bidding, but I don't trust her. I trust Luthen more. I don't know why.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, because that's the feeling that I get too. Like when I watch her on screen compared to Luthen, I'm like, Luthen's got a dark, gritty side to him, but Clea just seems very devious.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Bix is asked by the ISB if the hologram which we look at is Anto Krieger, who is she's asked by the ISB if that's the man that Andor met on Ferrix. They're barking up the wrong tree because Luthen is actually, of course, the guy who met Andor, and he's safely anonymous still. Anto is also the one in the rebellion that's been burned, and he's the one that Saw and Luthen are kind of conspiracizing against to really just kind of cut the dead weight. And
have we met that character before?
No, and that's the thing, and that like I kind of want to spend a minute just to kind of mention that because we've never met this character. We've just seen what he looks like. We know that he's got like 30 men under his command, and he works for the rebellion. That's pretty much all we know. And we also know the Imperial side, they've found out some shenanigans with Anto as well. They're trying to connect the dots. They're thinking, well, maybe he's the guy that met Andor because he's kind of a guy in charge. Naturally, they would probably make a conclusion like that because they know nothing about the rebellion. But yeah, I mean, Luthen, who's kind of the real guy in charge, is like, if we pull him out, he like when he goes to meet Saw again, he says to him like, if we pull him out, we risk he basically kind of in his own way says like, we're going to risk our inside man at the ISB, who happens to be Lonnie, who wanted out. You know, in the last episode, we watched that amazing dialogue or the monologue with Luthen and Lonnie, right? So, you know, do we sacrifice Lonnie and the ISB and give them the heads up that, or the hint that we could have an inside man, or do we just let this play out? And
it's more complicated than that, though, because Lonnie wants to get out. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. So even if they make the decision to go with him, he might still turn on them.
Right. Yeah, if he really wants out, maybe he'll turn on them or something like that. Maybe that. Yeah. Oh, man. So much of this espionage stuff. It's
yeah, it's like a real war.
This
is World War II stuff.
It's so deep. But yeah, I mean,
it's pretty neat though. I really liked Saw Gerrera in this whole interaction between the two. Oh, it was super cool. I really liked how he just like kind of went nuts thinking that there's spies all around him, like the middle of the conversation.
Lies, deceit.
Yeah, exactly. Who is it? Who is it?
Who got it?
He's just like throws some random guy under the bus. Ah, it's that guy over there.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny too. I was like,
yeah. And he was making a point, right? Where he was saying like, you know, it really doesn't matter. But at the same time, like saying that's exactly what would happen if they gave up the other person. And then, because like on one hand, that might benefit them for a short period of time, because then everyone in the ISB won't trust anyone else, right? And they'll be like trying to root out everything, like, and that could benefit them, just the internal chaos. But is that worth the sacrifice of the loss of information, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, having someone inside the ISB is like, you know, it's beyond invaluable. Like it's just you know, it's like it's everything that they need, right?
Yeah, it gives them a heads up on everything.
Yeah, it keeps the rebellion one step ahead, knowing that the very department within the Empire that will or could catch up to them, you know, they got someone letting them know, like, hey, this is what's going on, kind of thing, right? So,
do you think that it's likely that at some point that guy's going to get found out?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a very tragic end to Lonnie, and knowing that he's got a family and kids and stuff like that's going to make it all the worse, right? But, you know, such is war, right? And this is exactly what Luthen and Saw are kind of say, because, like, for the greater good, do we keep our man in the ISB in favor of letting Anton kind of like, you know, well, let the Empire kind of catch him, right? And yeah, they Saw says,
the thing is,
let's call it war.
Like, it's true. I think that makes it like more difficult though, because you think, you know, this is war. Like, you have to make decisions. Like, I feel like generally when decisions are made like this, the person in charge is making the decision on people that are more or less numbers on a sheet. You know what I mean? But at this point, the rebellion is so small, and Luthen is also so close that he knows all these people personally.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that makes it way harder.
Yeah, and the other thing is, this is another thing that Luthen said to Saw is, you know, because he doesn't know Anto personally in terms of like physical, like we've been in the same room together, in the same way that Saw knows Luthen, because basically Saw kind of says to Luthen is like, yeah, like I know you, I could screw you over more than Anto could, right? And Luthen knows that as well. He's like, yeah, you know what, like, it's a huge calculation to make, right? It's like, this is for the greater good. We got to keep our guy in the ISB. Plus, even if Anto gets caught, not killed, what could he say to damage us? And it's really not that much. And you know, it kind of goes back to those first couple episodes where we were talking about that information hierarchy within the rebellion, and, you know, really just kind of who knows what is crucial to the structure, because at this point in time, the rebellion is so fragile that one person, you know, knowing everything, the wrong person knowing everything and flipping their back on the rebellion to report them or whatever is going to destroy the whole thing, right? So Anto, I guess, is in the position of which he doesn't know enough to be that valuable. And they kind of just say, hey, he's only got 30 men. Hey, he doesn't know enough to really screw us over. And we got a guy in the ISB that could be heavily affected if we try and do something about his capture. So,
Sorry, it just dawned on me what, like, comparing that to like Rebels, like Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Because like 30 men, it's like I was thinking like it's actually quite a bit. And then I was remembering Star Wars Rebels, you'd see like random Rebel soldiers and like 8 would die every episode. It's like these people are quite expendable.
Oh yeah. yeah, exactly. I mean, we're definitely talking about your average kind of just troop, I guess, right? But then again, I mean, this is the kind of show that is kind of showing us like, hey, 30 men, like each of those has their own story, each of those has their own reason for being in the rebellion, like really makes us think differently about each individual person that's part of this cause. But it is kind of true. And in the kind of the greater scheme of things, like we see troops die all the time, right? Hoth, Tantive 4, like just all those, those settings. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you just think about any of the larger ships where you see like a cruiser get blown up, there's probably like 100,000 people on there.
Yeah, exactly. A quick mention about Luthen, by the way, because I saw some stuff floating around online, when we got a close-up of his thing that the partisans kind of took off his belt, which looks like a lightsaber hilt. It's not a lightsaber.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know the speculation you mentioned in the Discord.
Yeah.
Join the Discord.
Great. Yes. Join the Discord. Get in on this conversation. It is his compact staff. It's the staff that he had in the first 2 episodes when he gets to Ferrix. He's got that wicked kind of bar thing that whips out of the hilt. It's like it's a walking stick. And in the action figure form for Luthen, he also is able to unscrew the handle and it pulls out a knife. So it's a knife / walking stick thing. So I highly doubt that it's also a lightsaber. I know that
we should explain what we're saying on the Discord so people actually know what we're talking
about. Yeah. You wanna mention that? Yeah.
Sure. So I guess there's a theory going around online that Josh came across here and he was sharing it with us on the Discord. And it's that Luthen is actually an ex-Jedi. And he's in hiding in that's like on Coruscant. And his lightsaber is hidden in the staff, similar to what's his face's wand from Harry Potter.
Mr. Malfoy,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Isn't his name like also like Luthen or something?
Yeah,
something
Lucius. Yeah.
Lucius, they're so close.
Yeah,
look
Lucius,
at
Luthen. Yeah.
They
both got wicked staffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like bringing back the old theory that a Jedi started the rebellion in the first place. I think was probably like the main idea of this theory.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think that is the case. I think it's a bit of a stretch, and I prefer if it's not the case because I'm a little tired of Jedi being at the core of everything all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I think Thunder Mac 19 there also shares your thoughts, which also happens to be AJ, who's a friend of ours. He's been on the podcast as well, about 2 times in the past or so. So yeah, I think there's just this general consensus that we don't want the Jedi in this show, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's one of the things I really like about this show, is it doesn't have too much of a Jedi influence or any of a Jedi influence, and because my thoughts are, the galaxy is so massive and there's so many different people and aliens, and there's all this underworld stuff and all these different things going on, and yet we always just follow these handful of Jedi everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's and I love the Jedi just the stories that we get out of the Jedi. It can be exciting in the right context, but I feel like this show has kind of just moved into this territory in which we just don't need to expect anything like that, right? And I'm okay with that, right? So I think when there was a lot of speculation, like, is that a lightsaber hilt? It's like, probably not. It is a staff. It's also a knife. I highly doubt it happens to also be a lightsaber, as well as the fact that this character is a Jedi. Like, not sure about it. So
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree.
yeah. So yeah, Cyril has a storyline in this episode as well, which he steals some credits from his mother's safe after speaking to.
Was it his mom's?
Yeah,
I thought it might have been his own.
it must have been, because he waited for his mom to leave the house, and then he kind of, because he goes out and then he kind of watches her leave, and then he goes back in, opens the safe, steals some credits. It looked like it was a jewelry safe because there was some jewelry on top as well. It looked like a kind of like a bedside table safe or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I thought it was his night table, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I guess it was his mom's.
I
To me, it looked like there was like an iPod that was like secretly hiding credits in it.
It's funny because like I have a feeling that that he's on his way to Ferrix, of course, after getting information about Marva's death from his old buddy. You know, I feel like he's kind of gonna be on his way to personally try and infiltrate that funeral and catch up with Andor finally, kind of thing, right? Can't put it behind him. He's just constantly like, I gotta get Andor. He's obsessed. Yeah, he's obsessed for sure.
I gotta get him. I gotta get him. He just can't do anything else. He's just absolutely obsessed about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so another thing, Mon Mothma, she has a little appearance in this episode as well. Her daughter, Lida, is I forget if it is, yeah, Lida. She prefers the simplicity of Trangillan customs. That's what it said on the StarWars.com bio for her, and which is a surprise to her mother, who regards many of the traditions as outdated and, you know, in the modern times. But
and her daughter probably grew up mostly on Coruscant. She's not that old.
Yeah, exactly, which is a bit curious, I guess. But maybe she takes more after her dad than she, because you know, it is. They have made it clear that her and her husband kind of don't really get along the best. You know, they're not very
it was
close.
arranged marriage, so it's like a purely duty based thing.
Yeah, exactly. So so her daughter is kind of taken up a role within this this thing. They didn't really mention it by name, I don't think, but her and a bunch of girls were kind of around a table like some Girl Scouts or something. You know, they were all wearing some robes and saying this little poem. No idea what it is.
Yeah, it was really strange. And then maybe like I think that's a good way to look at it, as like a Girl Scouts group.
Yeah.
But they were doing like some chant.
Yeah, and the way that Mon kind of looked over at it almost gave me the feeling like it was some sort of religion or some sort of like cult or something like that. Maybe some group that that's very maybe steeped in Trangillan tradition or something. We don't really know a whole lot about
Chandrilla.
I'm like,
You'll get there.
I'm fumbling over my words today. Trangilla. We don't know. Chandrilla. Yeah, we don't know a whole lot about, like, you know, their culture. We don't know a whole lot about like, it was only this show that introduced us to the idea that Mon had a husband and a prearranged marriage, and that was just kind of like their thing. So yeah, there very well could be kind of like a religion for that culture that we don't know about, and maybe it's not really Mon's deal, and, you know, maybe she kind of like has her concerns as to her daughter's involvement with it for whatever reason she's got. So you know, it's one thing after the next. One thing after the next with her concerns, right?
Right. Yeah, it's funny how a lot of it kind of, it does have a lot to do with, like, I guess, let's say limiting people's like personal freedoms. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do these things. You're supposed to do these things. You're obligated to do these things. Same with both from her own cultural history as well as what the Empire is trying to force them to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I did find it interesting that her cousin came in and was like, why are you still doing this? Right? And she's like, oh, it wasn't me. So yeah, I did just find it I feel like they must be somewhat of outcasts of their own people, almost. You know what I mean? Like they ironically, at least with Mon Mothma, who's like representing these people,
Right.
she really doesn't want anything to do with their own culture.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of curious, isn't it? I wonder if they'll get more into that because the way that they paint her character out, it is interesting that they kind of make a statement of trying to say that Mon Mothma doesn't quite agree with the traditions of her people in the modern
Yeah.
times, right? Outdated traditions.
We haven't really gotten into that, but it seems like that's becoming more and more of a thing, like of her character. So that's making me curious if she's more or less always felt that way, but she just puts on this fake mask, or if over time she's come to see it as outdated and dogmatic almost.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it comes with the mask of doing her job as a senator. You know, like she mentioned it to her friend Tay Colma earlier in the show. That whatever people see is not what it appears to be. It's not what it seems, right?
Mhm.
So,
But the thing is, maybe people don't agree with me with this, but I would think that if you don't, like, if you're from somewhere and you don't represent those people, then why are you there?
right.
Like,
I guess.
it seems selfish to me. Like, if she doesn't represent the people she's there for, then she should step down.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is curious for sure. I am keen to kind of see I'd be keen for a Star Wars book that just kind of really just dives into Mon Mothma's character, right? Like this show has made her so much more interesting than
A lot more depth, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think those kind of things, like they could kind of touch up on things like that in a novel, where they can really get inside her head and give us the fleshed out kind of this is Mon Mothma sort of thing, right? Maybe even have it take place right after episode 3 when she kind of starts getting the rebellion going with Bail. That first interaction with Luthen, whatever that looked like. Lots of stuff, right? I think that would be a really interesting story. It's one that we still don't have. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, before this show, Mon Mothma was basically had one line,
yeah,
and a bunch of deleted scenes. So
right. Luthen, he is stopped by an Imperial arrestor cruiser Cantwell class Star Destroyer. And
that was cool because we talked about it was in the trailer. It was when we were doing the trailer breakdown. We're talking about Bryce, and we were talking about how this was like an old EU ship that they just brought back.
Yeah, so the design is done by a concept artist called Colin Cantwell, and this was I guess for the original films, and it's a design that's kind of stuck around in Star Wars for a while. It's been turned into one of those miniaturized Hot Wheels ships for the Star Wars, Yeah, it's been in a hologram in Solo. We've had it show up, I think, in maybe the odd video game here and there, and it's been mentioned by name maybe in a book or so, but it's never really showed up on like live action. And it's very interesting that is the case, because the Imperial Arrestor cruiser seems to me that those big satellite dishes have some function with some insane tractor beam, right? And
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because like if the scale is drastically different, do the full size Star Destroyers, do they have the same tractor beam? It's just the ship is so much bigger, or is the tractor beam, I guess, stronger on these other ships?
that's the thing, is like I actually have no idea. Like I would imagine that maybe this is just like a more powerful version of a ship that perhaps is kind of dedicated to I mean, it's in the name, like arrestor cruiser. Like it's kind of like this.
I know,
This
I'm
is the
just
Star.
giggling about that.
Yeah, it's almost like this particular model of Star Destroyer was not exactly manufactured for war or for I guess the typical destroyer having tons of guns and everything on it. Like it looks as if this is just kind of like a massive patrol car, like a massive policing vehicle that they kind of fly around in, do security checks, and they just kind of keep people on their toes, I guess, or maybe they, I guess it has its uses, right? But what it reminded me of was that gravity well projector that's attached to the interdictor vessels in Star Wars Rebels when they're able to pull ships out of hyperspace. That was, do you remember that? That was in the Thrawn.
I do, yep. Which was also an EU ship they brought back.
Yeah. So it reminded me a lot of that. And I was thinking to myself, I guess this is a ship in which it's kind of geared for tractor beam specialties, but I know the other one that I just mentioned is also, it has its own tractor beams as well, but the fact that it can pull a ship out of hyperspace is really kind of just tribute to how powerful those tractor beams really are, right? Like maybe it's a different type of technology, but it was kind of interesting that they have two different ships that kind of have the same function. This one being a lot more of like the more crappy version, because obviously like the one from Rebels is much later.
The Gravity Well ship, I don't think it used tractor beam technology to do that. I think it was, Gravity Well. So it's like a ship passes through it and then the emergency shutoff kicks in, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it makes like a fake gravity well like you would see around planets and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I guess maybe the radius is a bit larger on the interdictor classes. It's also supposed to be a very rare ship. Like it's not like they have a whole lot of those. Maybe these are just kind of like that more kind of standard issue. We've got a lot of these. They can pull people over and stop the ship from moving.
He's specifically the captain of the ship. This Star Destroyer. He specifically stated that they were like lots of pirates in the area, so maybe they only send them out to the more dangerous areas where they know they're gonna have to pull over more criminals and stuff that are more likely to go like try to outrun them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So it's cool. It's a cool ship. I look forward to seeing more of it. That whole getaway sequence was fantastic.
That was so cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the Iron Man maneuver with the lasers. You want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, that was cool. So that was straight out of Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. The lasers even look the same.
Yeah, exactly. So if anyone remembers Iron Man 2, they have all it's a War Machine, Iron Man, and it's in the final fight, and there's all those drones, and Iron Man does this thing where he kind of like spins in a circle, like a pirouette, and shoots just like a laser, like a solid laser beam up both wrists, and just kills everybody. And that's basically exactly what Luthen did here with this ship, which was pretty cool. But the thing with like lasers in space is like how far do they go? So did he just like cut some planet like a million kilometers away?
I feel like this would make a really good robot chicken Star Wars episode. Just like one of those 20-second shorts that they do that just, makes a joke about something. Yeah, that's my question too. It's like, how far do those lasers go?
It's gotta,
maybe it's just a giant, like a giant Kylo Ren size like lightsaber line that just eventually kind of flares off at the end and ends.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's probably not like a lightsaber, as in like it'll cut through anything. It probably can only go so deep before it runs out of power, but there's still unlimited range, I would think.
Yeah, and I'd be very curious to know what that part on the ship is, and whether or not it's shown up before and other things. I actually have no idea. For me, it's a first, but it was wicked. I thought it was cool.
I could see that being something that they pulled off an old role-playing game for like ship modifications or something.
Oh man, yeah. I can totally see it being pulled from like the what am I thinking of? That the one that Pablo plays all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
The 90s
is that
Star Wars
Star
RPG.
Wars? Is that the Sega edition or whatever it is? SWSE?
It starts with a W.
West of the Coast?
No, it's the one before that. what am I thinking of? West End. It's West End Games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's West End. Okay,
Yeah.
man, where's Bryce when you need him? He knows all this stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, West End Games, the one that was between 1987 and 1999. That was the first Star Wars RPG before the Wizards of the Coast.
That wasn't. Was that the D6 version?
Maybe if it used
the first gen D20.
If it used a D6 system, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, the very first one was D6, and then there's 2 D20 versions, and then we finally got the FFG.
It says
the newest one.
I'm just looking at the page right now. There was a first edition in 87, a second one in 92, and a second edition with revised and expanded stuff in 96. And in 2018, they did a 30th anniversary reprint.
Yeah, I think that's
FFG
D6
did. Yeah, FFG did the reprint for that. So
yeah, I think that's D6. I remember they did a reprint of that.
Yeah, I've actually never. Oh yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it uses the D6 system. Yeah,
I heard it was very overly complicated because you're using D6 dice.
Yeah, I imagine that would be lots of counting in the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah,
Anyway.
it did look like it was something out of a story in a book or in a game or whatever, right? But I didn't recognize it. So
yeah, it was super cool. I really liked the. He had almost like a flare system shoot out the back and just completely destroyed the tractor beam.
Oh, that was really cool.
I didn't know it'd be that easy to break. Why would everyone just have like a junk trunk that they just open?
I mean, it works for Obi-Wan. Awful. Release the spare parts.
Yeah. You sound like the B, the film B version of Obi-Wan. The B movie Obi-Wan.
Yeah. like the one, like the Obi-Wan.
Awful! Release the spare parts.
Like the one from what's that game? What's that game that we were playing?
Oh yeah, it's Galactic Battlegrounds.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, he just sounds like old, like drunk PI. Oh my gosh.
C class voice actors like doing the roles. Yeah.
We got to get that guy to do an ad for the podcast.
Yeah, we'll play a game out of it. Which character is he supposed to be?
Honestly, that would be a pretty difficult game.
Yeah, it would be. Oh man. So the last thing in this episode is Andor finally learns he makes contact back home, and his buddy at the traffic control center, whatever, informs him of his mother's death. And this hits him pretty hard, and there's a bit of a parallel looking scene of him kind of standing on the edge of the water, very similar to the scene in which he dies in Rogue One. I thought it was like kind of the same environment, very beachy, endless kind of like sea line, behind him. Really just kind of like a tragic moment for this character. Not so much of a in peace character, but in peace moment, right? Whereas in the Rogue One, when he kind of dies with Jin, I feel like it's kind of like he's kind of at peace with it, right? Like this is kind of a moment of turmoil for him. It's like, oh, he's just finding out his mother's dead, right? And it's just
he was really shaken up.
Yeah,
like, really shaken up. Like the guy was like asking questions, he couldn't even answer them.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was very, very, almost in a way that's, I don't know. This episode kind of ended off in a way that I thought for sure it would go for another 10 minutes. And then it just kind of cuts to black. And I was like, oh, like
saving it for the next episode.
Yeah. Which I don't know how long the next one's going to be. I assume it's going to be some supersized finale, hopefully, which hopefully doesn't leave us super, cliffhanger, moment for season 2. Cause it'll be a while before we get that.
Here's the thing though, like, with his mom dead and him upset and everything, I still don't see any reason for him to join the rebellion.
Yeah.
And that feels like a lot to cram into one episode. Maybe that's why we're getting season 2.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But
so.
I don't know what they're gonna do for that, because I know we and Kirk had pitched some ideas here last week, and I was thinking they were gonna use his mom as she would have some interaction with him that would make him have to be encouraged to join the rebellion. But at this point, he might even. It's possible. There's no specific reason to think this is the case right now that I can think of, but maybe they're going to reveal something like she was doing rebel stuff and that caused her to die, which would then make him not hate the rebellion. You know what I mean? So because we know that she is a rebel, she has mentioned that, but she wasn't really doing anything except for resisting the Empire by staying there. So
Right.
Which doesn't seem very rebel to me, especially considering her character was a very she and her husband were like robbing Imperial stuff pretty that was like their job. They're very she was very anti-Empire. Like her whole storyline, she just kept bringing that up over and over again, but she didn't really do anything.
Yeah,
I think that's a missing link.
There is some story that we're not being told just yet, and
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Maybe season 2 will have its flashbacks as well. I don't. Maybe we haven't parted ways completely with the flashbacks, because I know that, the show did start off that way, but then they kind of stopped doing that. So maybe they'll start off season 2 with the same kind of thing. Maybe we're gonna go back and rediscover something that we didn't know before, which might fill in some of the gaps.
It'll be flashback, and she'll be training with the Tusken Raiders who saved her. Yeah. Oh wait, wrong show. You're right. I think there is a missing link, because her character to what she was doing did make sense, and there's a huge gap still of Andor joining the rebellion.
Yeah, I would imagine there's some very crucial thing that happens that finally kind of tips him over the edge. I feel like it was supposed to be this prison scene, but I guess we'll have to kind of get confirmation of that with later on, when he maybe runs into Luthen again. Like maybe he's changed his mind, right?
Well, he already disliked the Empire, and he has reason to hate the Empire, but to me, it didn't seem enough to go to war against them. It was more to continue doing criminal activity and personal sabotage in any way you can, but not like a war scale level, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, which it begs the question for sure, where's that link, right? And that's what I'm so loving this show for is now it's always had my interest. It's always had my attention, but now I'm really keen to understand what is the final straw that kind of allows Andor to change his mind about running away and from the Empire and trying to screw it over when he can, but really just kind of running away and living in peace. And
I just thought it'd be so funny. Obviously, this isn't going to happen because we know that he joins the Empire because of Rogue One. Or sorry, not the Empire. He joins Rebels because of Rogue One. How funny would it be if he changes his mind? He's and he meets up with Luthen and the woman that works with him. He's like, all right, I'm here. I'm going to join the rebellion. And she just shoots him because that was what she was trying to do the whole time.
Yeah, the hit that Clea put on his head, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just immediately killed. But no, I was here to join.
They'll pull a Grand Inquisitor on us and be like, this was the plan all along.
Yeah. Right. What a twist!
What a surprise! Oh, we're getting
you're falling into my trap.
we're getting a call coming in. You hear that? That's the comm link.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen.
Podcast. You seek good podcast. Star Wars Escape Pod is the pod for you. Leave a review, and may the Force be with you.
Oh man, Master Yoda calling in.
Help us! Yoda, help us! We've been trapped in this escape pod just floating through space for 2 years. We're running out of rations. Yoda, come back! Master Yoda!
He's gone.
One day. We'll be saved.
Nah, that's all right. That's all right. We're enjoying our time outside the cantina.
Oh wait, we're just in artificial
yeah.
reality
Oh,
in
yeah.
this escape pod.
Yeah, it's just Star Wars VR. That's it. That's all it is. Star Wars meta.
That's right.
Yeah. Any last minute things you want to bring up before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, I'm really curious what they're gonna do for this finale. So, like, obviously he's got to go home to his funeral. He's gonna see his mom get bricked. So I'm gonna term it, call it getting bricked.
Yeah.
Just another brick in the wall. Too soon.
Oh man.
We got to play that song next episode. Okay. Anyway, I'm really curious, like, what they're gonna do about that, because obviously there's got to be some sort of big clash or whatever. So we're gonna see Cyril there, and I bet it's gonna be between them. I bet it's gonna be between Cyril and Andor, and Andor's gonna, like, I think really funny. Andor just didn't remember who he was, and Cyril's just been so obsessed with him for like the last 6 months or whatever it's been. Sorry, who were you?
It is interesting to me that the showrunner Tony Gilroy is supposed to be the director of this final episode. Just as a heads up. So, I mean, you know, we're going to get some conclusion, I guess, you know, being the showrunner. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see then directorially how it'll be different, because he is known for being very handheld camera. So I wonder if we're going to see a lot more like shaky cam.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that'd be like more kind of Jason Bourne stuff.
Exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, they kind of went that route a little bit when we had more of the action sequences, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting if they kind of just went to that level in one of the episodes. I mean, being a show like this, when every episode kind of has its own director, it is kind of stylized slightly in their own way of doing things. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely be. Do you like that style? Do you like the style of filming?
I do, but I do question how out of place it would feel now after we've watched this whole season.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how many people out there would like, or just kind of go like, that's too Jason Bourne, like not for Star Wars kind of thing, right? But I don't know. I guess I don't want to make any judgments until I see it, because it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be good.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, I'm curious too. I'll save my opinion till afterwards.
Yeah,
but, like, I'm a little skeptical because it might make this episode feel disjointed. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Podcast social handles. You know, I was gonna say follow the Twitter, but I mean, there's a mass exodus happening from Twitter right now. So, follow the Twitter. At SW Escape Podcast. Yeah, if it's still there. Yeah, I'm not ditching Twitter just yet.
Following the wave. You're gonna follow the wave. Where we go next?
I'm very amused. Mr. Musk amuses me a lot. He was. It's kind of funny. He getting in on the joke of the fact that Twitter is kind of meeting its fateful end. Was a plethora of tweets and people on the Star Wars Instagram circles that are kind of saying like, okay, yeah, just in case. Even Matt Martin from the Lucasfilm Story Group as well, I think also did this, posted a Instagram QR code saying, hey, just in case Twitter implodes and kind of goes away, feel free to follow me on Instagram. We do. Our Instagram is at SW Escape Podcast. I can guarantee you nothing more than episode summaries and just little things in the Instagram stories. Like, I don't really spend a whole lot of time on that. I literally just kind of use it to promote the podcast and post some snipped highlights every now and again, but people are welcome to follow that. Very small.
And if you message the Instagram, we will be sure to reply.
Yeah, message the Instagram. Yeah, shoot us a message. Social handles at SW Escape Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Big thank you to everyone tuning into the podcast, and to you as well, Blake. We will catch you in the next episode.
All in all, you're just another brick in the wall.
Whoa. let's get into the escape pod and fly away, shall we?
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right. So tune in next week for the finale for Star Wars Andor, final review for that show. We're not going anywhere. Stick around on Star Wars Escape Pod. Lots of content coming your way. And we will be here again for The Bad Batch, Mandalorian Season 3, you name it. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Hit the links down below. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Shoot us an email, swescapepodcast@gmail.com. Join the Discord and feel free to send us a voicemail. May the Force be with you.